And beautiful. I love the announcement.
I got that announcement.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, hello, and thank you for joining us. If you're here live, please drop a hello below so that we can see you. I'm just pulling it up on my phone so that I can actually see if y'all have questions that you want us to elaborate on, because it doesn't like to show me on my computer as we're live. But I am here with the beautiful Jessi Marino. Many of you might know her as Jessi Magick throughout the years. And she has been a huge component of me birthing plant medicine magic into the world. And she just has a beautiful, thought provoking mind. And I knew that she would bring some questions to the table that would help all of you understand what it is that plant medicine magic is. And I've been working with Jessi not only as an apprentice in her apprenticeship, but also in many of her other incredible magical offerings and teaching at hedonism retreats and Drench, which was a beautiful advanced mystical arts practitioner training, which is quite a mouthful, but I love
Hey,
it.
good job.
I got pretty used to saying it. But with that, a lot of what I've been sharing inside of her retreats is about
Yeah.
what is conveyed in plant medicine magic and teaching. Well, we would call it tea talks with Tori, but it was so much more than tea talks. Yeah. So if you want to introduce yourself, you can, or we can dive right in, whatever feels best.
Well, I want to focus on you and this program and they'll find me if they ever want to, but I want to focus on you. Uh,
Jessie's amazing. Definitely seek her out.
Tori is amazing, and that's why I'm here because I've just been so moved by her relationship with plants and the way that she not only grows them herself and has this unbelievable room in her house that's just jars and jars and so many amazing plants. They're everywhere. I'm like, you have this much of this. Look at that. Like walking in her house was just like walking into another dimension. It was absolutely amazing. And not only that, but then experiencing her products, which if you don't have in your arsenal, I highly recommend that you look into what she's got. I think you have a clearance sale going on right
Yeah,
now too. She has a
yeah.
clearance sale for products. Everyone get pleasure alchemy, like these kinds of things, right? I watched the choices of which plants she was pairing with one another, and that in itself, with me as a very amateur herbalist who's learning, but as a very amateur herbalist and just going, oh, those are such a beautiful combination, and that's such a beautiful combination. It shows the relationships that you have with plants.
Mm.
So as we're beginning this conversation on this unbelievable journey that everyone should look into, plant medicine magic, I would love to hear, like, when did you fall in love with plants?
Mm. So honestly, I've been in love with plants ever since I was little. Like I had like rock babies and I had plant babies and I would like make all these potions when I was really little. Of course, it was like, with mud and all these other things, but I think when I rekindled my relationship with them, what made me fall in love with them was something that seems so simple and it might be silly in some people's, perceptions, but one of my dear friends in high school, his mom was an herbalist, and I got my first tattoos ever on my feet. And as a dancer who like danced competitively my whole life, I was like, these have to heal in like a week. Like they have to because it's winter break, and then I have to get back to dance. And so I bought a calendula salve from her, and all of a sudden it was like just this homecoming, just adorning myself with that self and seeing how quickly, and I literally have like full body chills as I say this. Yeah, like whoo. But how quickly they healed and like how fresh they kept them looking for years beyond, which is a whole different story. But allowing myself to like let it be this like spiritual homecoming and realizing like, oh, there's so much more here. And then it just opened up a whole nother world for me that like my inner child was like, duh, we knew this. But then reconnecting into it, it just opened up like a whole different world because I was told that I need to go on narcotics and all of these other things. And luckily, I have an amazing father. Thanks, Dad. You're probably watching this at some point. Who's, hi, Bruce, who, you know, like he was like, that's not happening. And so he was supportive of me finding whatever would help me that was alternative. And then, you know, connecting in with Anne, who's a sweet herbalist in like the little backwoods of Ocam, which is a tiny town that probably no one knows about, is what really reconnected me with it. And, you know, talking to her about the herbs, and it just opened me up. Yeah.
I love that. Calendula was also my first. I love that we had this moment together where we were like, Calendula was also my first.
Yeah.
I think for those people who maybe have started to develop spiritual relationships in terms of like whatever they might refer to as their universe, their God, goddess,
Yeah.
more spirit, they've started to develop this relationship maybe with their guides, however they perceive that.
Yeah.
And maybe they've even started to work a little bit on understanding and recognizing how their very flesh and bone human relationships and their spiritual relationships are all kind of mirrors to one another.
Mm,
And I think what's cool about this awareness and this kind of reclamation and homecoming of remembering that you're home on the land and that everything is alive, you know, like every rock, every tree, every creature and has a name, like that concept, right? They
yeah.
all have a name. And then actually starting to cultivate these relationships. This is where, you know, when you first brought this idea to me and said, I want this to exist. I want to make plant medicine magic. And we had this conversation about how rarely each individual plant, and we're talking, I don't want to call them simple. We're talking gentle plants. Calendula is a gentle plant. Like she can support people in so many ways. And it's a gentle process. And we are talking about these kinds of plants that have so much to offer. And we talked about how if you can't hear the conversations with these really gentle plants,
Mm,
you know, then no matter what you reach for, it's learning how to have the conversation
yeah.
that has to happen. And so for those who are interested in potentially exploring how many gentle plants, which gentle plants, you want to give us an idea of kind of what plants people might start to develop relationships with
Yeah.
during the experience, and is it, you know, just in level one that they'll have that? So I'm curious about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so every single month inside of Plant Medicine Magic, we focus on two plants. And those are, you know, herbs such as calendula, which is one of the first ones.
Oh,
We also work with rose, with hawthorn, with cedar, with rosemary, with blue lotus,
ooh.
and a wide array of herbs. Like it's two every single month, and it's teaching my students of all levels to have these gentle conversations. Or I don't like the word simple because you're right, it's like not simple with these plants. They're so multifaceted and powerful. But
It sounds
as yeah, yeah. And so, as you know, especially for those that are journeying in level three who are learning how to carry spaces of expanded states of consciousness, and with level one and two, working to become, you know, sacred microdosing facilitators, it's so important for us to be able to have these conversations and peel back, you know, the layers of whatever might have built up around our like form of intuiting or connecting, so that we can learn how to do this, so that when we work with these plants, these other beautiful allies that are expanded states of consciousness, we can actually extract the wisdom that they're sharing with us. Because I saw, coming from the festival world, I was a festy girl, and that's how I got into all of this. Jessi knows. Um, I recognize that actually, this is what this tattoo is about. It was my initiation journey where I was half laying inside my tent and outside my tent at one of these festivals where I was like, I promise not to commune with you in any other way than just purely sacred. I hear you. I hear you. Because it was this aspect of like, oh, it's a party. Let's just have fun and open up our third eye and, talk
Yeah,
in other dimensions and all of these things. And it's beautiful to open your mind in the ways that feel safe for you. But I knew for me that they told me, like, this is not how you're meant to do it. This is how you're supposed to be introduced. Yes.
sure. Yeah.
But I saw so many people that weren't coming in a good way to these, and they were doing them and then falling back into the same old patterns. And it just broke my heart because I was like, but you had that wisdom right there in front of you. We talked about it, like we conversed about it, and then you just fell back into those old ways because they didn't know how to actually integrate it, and also didn't understand that it wasn't just for that moment, it was to incorporate into their lives. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that answer. Really, I mean, it really is about integrity. And isn't all of the spiritual conversation right now, it really is about integrity in the sense that we can learn lots of things intellectually, but if it doesn't embody, if it doesn't integrate, the way we do one thing is the way we do everything. And so if we're looking for an escape or to run away, or if we're choosing lots of things that create a lot of numbness or disassociation in the body,
Yeah.
but then we think we're going to be able to go flying around in the ethers and have any sense of direction whatsoever, like if you can't talk to calendula, you can't talk to anybody. That's
Yeah.
to me, it's like, and that's what we talked about. It's like if we can't hear the most subtle, the most sensitive things, then it's partially maybe because some of those stronger messages, we need to develop the place for those kinds of messages to land where they will actually integrate. And that's something that I think is so gorgeous about giving people an experience of respecting these relationships, because that's
Mm-hmm.
really the idea, is that when we're using plants or when we're just doing whatever, to it's almost like we don't respect that there's another being involved,
Yeah.
right? We
Yeah.
think we can take whatever and whenever, and that's something that you're really helping people to develop, that integrity, and to learn from the gentle teachers, so that if they do decide that they go down that path where they're going to be leading something, anything, that they know how to have those conversations, right? That they know how to listen, like really listen. So I'm
Exactly.
ecstatic that they get to have these different plants that get to be a part of their experience. And what we found, even while we were in Costa Rica for Drench, and each week Tori brought us two plants, and that was a lot in a month, but we've been doing this for a while,
Yeah.
right? But each week she brought us two plants, and we got to have moments of really having those conversations and receiving from those plants. And you can make friends for the rest of your life who can support you, not just in your physical health, which is an unbelievable benefit, but also in our mental, emotional. And to me, that's one of the main reasons why we need to lean into herbalism and plant medicine magic. We need to lean into the medicine and the magic of these plants, because really the way that we're looking at the world right now, I've seen it. It's just like it's this prescription, and then you need this prescription to deal with the side effects of that prescription, and then you need this
Yeah.
prescription to deal with the side effects of that prescription. And it's not that I'm against medicine, Western medicine. I'm
But
not against,
yeah.
there's a place, but the place isn't to stack 25 medications on top of each other 99% of the time. That isn't going to overall help and support bodies. And so
Mhm.
people who get to learn these things from you can not only learn how to help to keep themselves well and the people around them well, but it's going to deepen their ability to have honorable relationships. Like, even I know immediately when I hear an herbalist speak about working with a plant rather than using a plant, I know immediately that, like, that's a relationship.
Yeah.
That's not like I take what I want. That's a relationship. And
Mm-hmm.
so when people are having these experiences in plant medicine magic, they also get to come see you in person, right? That's part of this.
Yeah.
Tell
Yeah.
us about what that's like and what they can, you know, look forward to experiencing in person when they're there.
Yes. So I find that my greatest levels of transformation has happened when I am live with my mentors or live with my teachers and actually get to experience the way that they journey with different things. And as much as, online courses are great and they have their benefits, like I have found that the radical aspects of transformation really anchor when we come together. And so inside of Plant Medicine Magic, no matter what level you join, whether it's one, two, or three, you get to come and experience a weekend with me. Yes, when it comes to, level three, you get more in-person time with me. You get to come and journey with me for 5 ceremonies. And out of those five, two of them are retreat weekends. Yeah. So there's a
Wow.
lot.
That's a
Um,
lot.
it is, but it's also a beautiful alchemization because in order to do this work, especially when you are training with expanded states of consciousness, we need to do this 50 to 100 times to be able to then go out and steward others. And I know that that's so important. And I got that lesson from my teacher, Robin. But with that, we get to come together for a retreat weekend where we do some in person training, where we talk about deepening our relationship to the elementals and working with other forms of energy healing and how to protect ourselves and physically seeing different aspects of like the whole process and journey where I can show you and convey to you different things that are harder to get through online. And we also sit in ceremony together with the option to journey with me in expanded states of consciousness with the beautiful allies that I work with. Not necessary though, but usually people are like, yes, this is what I came for. And so we spend all day together in circle with our community. When it's level three, there's also some, you get to come to public ceremonies with other participants as well. But we journey all day together. We dive in deep. We do a lot of different processes and activities to allow ourselves to heal that are put together and crafted through this artwork that I create with collecting everyone's intentions. And then from there, I sit with whatever medicine that we'll be journeying with, and I meditate on like what is going to offer the most profound transformations for those that are coming to sit with me. And then from there, sometimes even when, I have it all written out and we come into ceremony, sometimes the energy changes and the prayers might change as people get more deep into their heart as, the medicine starts to work through them. And so I work through this process called fertile facilitation where if there's a certain thing, say my mind told me that we were going to do a sound journey at that point, but I recognize we need a lot of like sisterhood connection. We might be doing this whole hug train where we're learning how to be held and let ourselves hold. And where is that delicate balance as we are a weaver of this sisterhood web? Like, where do we allow ourselves to lean in or where do we pull back? And so it's this beautiful journey of the medicine guiding. But yeah, we get to come together for ceremony. And the retreat weekends are fun because they're just beautiful celebration weekends where we get to, be in sisterhood in person rather than just like through our phones or online on Zoom,
That's amazing.
which, yeah, it creates a beautiful community. And I'm so in love with it.
You cook for them because if they haven't had your cooking, oh,
Yeah, I cook
Tori in the
every
kitchen.
time.
Tori in the kitchen. Like just the fact that you get to come to her home and be in her kitchen and experience her family, her fur family, her family, and on the land that she's built such an incredible relationship with. And I'm sure that some people already know the story of your home, but what a special thing too. Like her home is also was there was an herbalist on her home that owned her home before
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
and like what a special place to be, like in a lineage of herbalism on land that's so cared for, that
Mhm.
it's covered in fruit trees and beautiful plants that she tends. Whatever season it is, they're there, whether they're under 3 feet of snow or wherever they are. Like
Yeah.
it's such a huge thing what you're offering to these people. And I know that it takes so much more than the average person would even guess to run any business, let alone one that does the kind of work that you're doing. And so I know that sometimes I struggle with this too, like how to convey things that seem beyond words. And for example, expanded states of consciousness, really hard to convey without having had that experience, or even just like having a cup of chamomile tea and feeling like you just made a homie for the rest of your life. Like that's not a thing that most people, like, unless they've had that experience, there's no context for that. And so I'm hoping that for those who don't necessarily have direct context with having had deep relationships with plants, my hope is that our conversation right now can help you to really see that Tori is an incredible guide for that exact work of cultivating those relationships with plants.
Mhm.
So if somebody is interested in potentially doing this kind of work with you, how do they choose between the levels? Would you say that certain, like level one is for certain people and level three is for certain people?
Yeah.
How might a person decide what the right path would be? I know you could talk to them, and that's obviously the best way is to have a conversation and kind of see where you're at. But if they were trying to decide for themselves,
Yes.
you know.
If you're afraid of me and think I'm gonna bite for some reason, I am a Scorpio, so some people think I'm gonna sting them. I promise I won't. Um, I am a Gemini rising, which gives me the bubblier personality than, some other Scorpios. But honestly, when it comes to the different levels, level one is for people that want to learn about microdosing for themselves and how to integrate it for themselves. We talk about self ceremony. Yes, you become certified to share it with others if that's your path, but I created level one to be a journey for yourself, a homecoming into yourself, so that you can feel well educated and know how to actually extract the wisdom. And for those that are, I've had a lot of mamas in level one that are just wanting to learn about herbs, building relationships with them so that they have that for themselves and their family. And many times in the course, they're like, and eventually I know I'm going to share this with people, but this is just for me right now because I need it for me. And don't get me wrong, I've had some others that are like, I am going to share it with others. This is a journey that I want to guide others through. But for the most part, it's really just like a self reclamation journey and allowing yourself to come home into feeling authentically you and not feeling disconnected from the world that is around you any longer. And then level two is a journey for those that really feel called to lead ceremony with non entheogenic plants, or I guess I should say, without expanded states of consciousness. So, because I will say Blue Lotus is one that we, learn to build a relationship with, and it technically is an entheogen, but for those that are called to not only learning about microdosing and potentially sharing sessions and adding on various elements of like healing work to their toolbox of what they can share with their community, but feel really called to steward ceremony with herbs and plants such as cacao or rose or hawthorn or damiana or mugwort or blue lotus. Yeah.
I just
Yes.
thought of what a hawthorn ceremony would be like. That sounds like a beautiful.
You're like,
Oh,
I would love that.
just went down a road. I love this. And what about level three?
Level three is for those that are very much so called within themselves to create a radical transformation for their clients who know that working with expanded states of consciousness is a part of their work. A lot of the times, the people that, are like my dream clients that I'm calling forth are people that have worked with entheogens and hallucinogenics in some capacity And they've been like, okay, like I see people partying with these, but like that's not my path and I don't know where to go. So, those that are looking for a teacher to guide them on how to hold ceremony in a way that comes from, different lineages, but comes from lineages and traditions. I work with various ones because I've had varying teachers. So I've learned from you the Celtic Druidry path and walking that. So I integrate that alongside of Lakota traditions and folk Mexican magic from my teacher Robin. And so I kind of am like this blend, which the prophecy of the eagle and the condor bridging together into hummingbird medicine is really what. And if you don't know that story, I can elaborate on it for those that might be in the comments section. But I really feel as though it's just this bridge of bringing it all together from different places in the world to share it. So, those that really want to know like ancient rituals and ways of how our way back well ancestors, whether it's the ancestors of our land or of our blood, were able to create these deep connections with the world and also like just heal themselves and heal others in
Yeah.
ways where it's not like like one-off energy sessions, for example. And I just have to say this because it helps to convey, but like one-off energy sessions, we can do all the energy work, we can give all of like the home play, as I call it. I don't like homework, I don't know, it brings me back to school and I'm like, ugh, I was good at it, but I don't like doing it. So it's home play, but they have to get out of their own way in their minds, like the default mode network of our brains that creates our perceptions. They have to try to get out of their own ways once they leave us and continue to walk that path. And the beauty of working with expanded states of consciousness is that it just brings those walls down and then they're down for a few days so that people can immediately implement new habits to create that big change that they've been wanting for themselves and no longer feeling stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm obsessed. While you were talking, it's just interesting to me some of the curious parallels. When I first came out of my Reiki training in when I was 18, the first business name I had was Your New Perception. That was the first business name I had. And I think it's interesting because really all of the different spiritual traditions have this one root thread, which is that the lens of the way that we're seeing and relating to our world can shift.
Yeah.
Now, what they say, depending on who you ask,
Varies.
happens once they shift, right? Varying perspectives and many different cool paths to walk, but just this concept that our perception of our reality can shift, and that with that perception shift and a change in behavior that follow,
Mhm.
because it is one of the, like, you can shift your perception for a day, but you do have to change things in your world if you want to see dramatic shift in your
Yeah.
world, right? So it's, we know that, but that's also why you work with a teacher who's going to offer you that counsel if you're not sure that you're going to be able to implement that integration on your own, and really honestly just to have that extra layer of support. Because
Yeah.
if your intention is to pull back the curtains on things, sometimes when we pull back the curtains, what we see needs to be digested, right? Like, it needs to be digested, it needs to be, well, what do I do with this, right? What do I do with
Mhm.
what I've seen? And sometimes I think there can be completion cycles just within these experiences. There can be completion cycles, there can be things that get a chance to be felt, which is a huge part of my work that I do a harder way. But right, like, I
Like
definitely take an
beautiful.
interesting road. Like, the road I take is a little rockier. Tori's like, here you go, here's the door, and I'm like, let's go up a mountain and around six corners and then we'll figure it out. I've taken a little rockier path, right? But
Yeah.
regardless, the idea is that when that door opens and something gets a chance to be felt and gets a chance to digest or gets a chance to process, that can sometimes really lead to an entirely different way of seeing our lives. Like,
Mhm.
who would I be once that was digested? Or who would I be if I wasn't prohibited by this particular fear? Or who would I be um if I wasn't getting in my way in this very obvious way that I keep seeing myself getting in my way, like things like that.
Yeah.
I think that that's where it's like you're an animal. We're home on this earth planet and we're surrounded by allies and friends and teachers. Some wiser and sharper than others,
Hmm.
some playful, some like a grandfather, some like a little sister, and we forget, and I think that has so much to do with our isolation and our loneliness
Hmm.
because we forget that we're surrounded by medicine
Yeah.
and magic
Mhm.
of plants. That's why she chose those words because it makes perfect sense that we would find our way back home to ourselves directly through that land as an offering to us, you know? So
Mhm.
I can't more highly recommend that we orient towards reclaiming relationship with land. And I
Mhm.
think sometimes, you know, it's easy to say, reclaim your relationship to land in a sentence, but like what that actually means is that every single step you take, you actually feel like you're home.
Yeah,
That's a wild feeling to
absolutely.
have a reference point for, to be
Mm.
able to go, "Oh, this is home.
Yeah.
I'm part of something. I'm part of a network. I'm part of a community." Not
Mhm.
just amongst other like-minded people, which in itself is a huge blessing, which is what they're receiving, but then to also be surrounded by allies and recognize that you're not alone, like that's a huge thing to give to people. And so my hope is that those who are curious, even just a little bit, know that, you know, you're going to start no matter what with gentle plants. No matter what, you're going to start with gentle plants. You're going to start with having this introduction like, "Hi, my name is Jessi. How you doing?" That's why I'm very much an advocate for microdoses because I'm very sensitive. And small doses of things are profound for me.
Mhm.
Like unbelievably profound and have been unbelievable medicine for my life. And you've educated me on a lot of those pieces as well. So my hope is that people can recognize that there's more than one way to navigate whatever you're navigating.
Yeah.
If you haven't yet turned to the natural world, if you haven't yet looked around and said, maybe there's actually medicine literally right outside my door. If that hasn't happened yet, and you're at a point where you're like, I'm curious,
Mhm.
I would really love that to be a doorway, especially for the spiritual seekers who have spent a lot of time in floating out of the body states
Yeah.
concepts, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of emphasis on like catapulting yourself into the ethers and flying through cosmos. And it's like cool, and like body,
We're here.
there's so much magic here.
Yeah.
There's so much magic to be felt in conversations between cells and
Mm.
counterparts. I mean, we have parts of our brain that just link up with plants in this profound ways where it's like they were meant for each other. What a thing
Literally,
to
they
learn.
were.
Like what a thing to learn that there's parts of your body that just go, "Oh, my friend, I know you."
Yeah.
Oh, like my heart just like I'm moved to tears when I remember just how much I belong here through
Mhm.
through this journey of coming home to the natural world. And that's what you're offering. And it's like that's such a hard thing to convey in a Facebook post. It's
Exactly.
it really is. It's like how do you say that? You have to feel it.
Yeah.
And if you're curious and you're like, I don't know where I am in the spectrum of this journey, whether I'm a 1, 2, or 3 level, or whether I just want to step through the door and meet Tori and, you know, maybe do something privately or maybe do a one-time thing, like wherever you are in this work, this is an incredible guide that I know can support you, and I wouldn't be here asking her questions and encouraging her in this way if I didn't feel really strongly that those who find
Mm.
you are incredibly blessed to have found you.
Thank
Do you
you.
have any final thoughts that you would like to add about this program and
Mm.
really the hearts that you're reaching out to and the people that you'd like to have sitting with your puppies and your kitties and in your home this year?
Yeah, so I feel called to touch a little bit upon what you just shared about like those that are floating through the ethers, and then I'll
Yeah.
get to some more practical stuff too, but I have shared with many, beautiful humans that have helped me expand my connection to the more in different ways. And it's funny because after going to them and them realizing, like, oh, like you channel from the earth, like I do that. And that's very normal for me. And so learning to build relationships with higher realm energies was like, okay, let's step into that to continue to expand things. But I have started to, trade or, then become the mentor of the people that are working up there because they're like, oh, Tori, like you're right. There's so much in this earthly body that we're here to experience. And like it feels so good to be able to channel those energies too, not just always be floating outside of our bodies because we're not really doing a lot. I'm not saying, not negating what we can
No.
do in the higher realms. We can do so much. And when we come back into our bodies, the power that it gives us of embodiment, of knowing that we're home here, even if we're a star seed or a healer or a light worker that's like, I'm from Lemuria or like what, wherever, it allows you to learn how to experience and fall in love with what we used to call mundane and just like be like, oh, I'm a human for a reason. I came here for a reason. And that's really fucking cool. And for any of you that, have been eyeing this, that are feeling called to it, know that I don't bite, I don't sting. Please have a conversation with me. We still have a couple scholarship spots available for each level. Yeah, so partial scholarships, I should say, but it's something that I am a big advocate for people that are, BIPOC and LGBTQIA plus, or what I like to call alphabet mafia as a fellow queer. Um, and for low income peoples, I don't want it to hold you back just because of the price tag. So please come and have a conversation with me. But also for those of you that are healers and you have been feeling called to take your people deeper, not only your people, but yourself, this is a journey that can revolutionize the depth of the work that you are doing with others. So with that, I will post the page with all of the information about this program below this video and in the email if you're seeing it there. And it is by application only. I don't accept just anyone into this program. I understand the caliber of what it is that I'm inviting you into. And so we're going to hop on the phone. We're going to chat for like 30 to 45 minutes, maybe even a little bit longer to really make sure that the choice that you're making is for you and is going to serve you. My biggest, one of my biggest values is impact. And so I'm not the one that's going to be like, oh, you need this thing that you don't really need. So feel
Mm.
free to reach out to me, message me, or the application will also be below. There's only a little bit more time to join.
How much time do you have?
So it was originally till the 18th, but I'm going to let people join. And because I realized that with me traveling to California and, doing our actual midterm or graduation, depending on what level they're in, the following weekend, there's not as much time that I have open in my calendar. So I'm going to allow you to apply throughout the rest of January. But once the end of January comes, then no one else will be welcomed in. And know that if there's a way that, or if there's something in you pulling you forward, I just mixed two sentences in my brain. Be
I
like,
understand. I know what you meant.
yeah, but if there's something calling you from within and you're like, wow, like this is something that I really, really want to make happen, we can find a way together. I am a person that's like, no, like let's figure it out. And I will sit there with you and I'll, do some numbers out and we'll figure out a way to make it work for you. So yeah, but I would love to have you if this is something that you're like, I have been searching for a teacher and I know that I am meant to impact people in a greater way and even touch more lives, then reach out.
I hope you do. I hope you do. And those of you who are like she named, already doing healing work or already doing transformational work, especially if you're tired.
Yes.
You know, like, especially if you're tired, there's quite a lot of that going around. You're
Yeah.
gonna get some nourishment for you too, right? Like, it's a
Yeah.
ripple. You're gonna fill
Exactly.
yourself up, and that's what's gonna pour out, you know? And you have allies for a reason. You have a support system for a reason. They're meant to be on your team. It doesn't have to be just you.
Yeah.
So
Next.
I was like talking to myself there, like that feeling. It doesn't have to just be you.
Yeah. And
You know?
honestly, I mean, you saw me go from like completely burnt out with owning my shop and everything and wearing the 8 billion hacks that it takes to own a storefront, where I was just like, I am burnt at both ends, and this guy just wants to keep increasing our rent. And I'm really just like, I'm done. Like, I can't do it anymore. And this program birthed through me and like this whole vision. I came to my altar burnt out, and I was just like, please show me how I can be of greatest service and do so in a way that is going to replenish me. And this is what came through, because it helps us recover. So even if you're an entrepreneur that's like, dude, I'm really fucking tired,
Yeah,
I get it.
especially especially you guys. We all need to restore our wells.
Yeah. So that's like who I had in mind when I was creating it, is like, all right, like let's like really do business in a nourishing way, especially in level 3. We talk about business a lot. I mentor you through it as, a six-figure healing business owner. Like, it's a sacred business. It's not that I'm just, like I said, I don't just sell things to sell things. I sell things because impact is a huge thing and I want to change lives. And so with that in mind, if you are an entrepreneur, if you're already a healer and you're like, I know there's more for me and I don't want to just constantly offer these one off sessions, this doesn't feel good, reach
Mhm.
out and let's chat about it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Tori, you're an inspiration in so many ways to so many people. I'm so grateful that you've been a part of so many of the offerings and containers that I've put out, and every
Mm,
person that has sat with you has been moved and
mm,
been changed and been impacted by the work that you do. And so it's no surprise that impact is high on your value list, because it's always the underlying current in the feedback that I receive about how you move and your integrity in choosing
mm.
to do this in this way and holding to that and saying, no, I'm going to do this sustainably.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this in a way that doesn't destroy and deplete me. I'm going to do this in a way that nourishes me, and I'm going to believe in the thing that I know matters, and I'm going to
Mm,
hold true to that. I'm going to carry that torch because that's
mhm,
what I want to keep burning for the future generations. Like, you can see that that's your motivation. So I really do hope that anybody who's curious will reach out and just ask you questions. You know, they know you're not going to push. Like, it's
mm.
not who you are. You know,
No.
you're allowed to ask questions. You're allowed to be curious. You're allowed to just open the door and peek,
Hmm. Yeah.
and she'll
That's
tell
what
you all
it's about.
about options. Yeah. And she'll tell you about your options. And I'm so excited for everyone that gets to journey with you next year. It's gonna, not next year, it's now. It's this year.
I
For
did
every,
that yesterday too. I was like, oh,
like,
great. We're in the new year.
it's the 24 already.
Yeah.
So I love you. I'm so grateful for you allowing me to ask you these questions. I'm hoping that it means that some people will get to see the heart that I get to see all the time. That is so hard to see a heart through a screen. But sometimes it's just, you know, we touch the questions that really matter to us, and I'm hopeful that they could see you and will choose to do this thing that will impact all of us in the, you know, the choice to do these things for yourself impacts everyone you come in contact with. It
Mm,
changes every
mhm.
relationship. It nourishes all of those places. So
It really does. And thank you for hopping on and asking me beautiful questions, as you just have the most beautiful like mind in the way that you like put words out. I'm just like, ah, yeah, I love that. So thank you. And yeah, to anyone that is seeing this, don't be hesitant to reach out. I'm not a pushy salesperson. That is my least favorite flavor of salesperson. But thank you again, Jessi, and I hope you have a beautiful night.
the same to you, and I'll see you all soon.
Bye.